Wait, remember Camp Lakebottom? It was a little show that you may have seen on either Disney XD in the States, or worldwide on various Disney channels, or on Teletoon where the series originally is from, in Canada. The series explores the idea of what if you and your friends end up getting sent to the wrong camp than you were originally planning for, and on top of that, what if the camp itself was very odd, and the camp counselors for the most part were all, well, definitely anything but human. The answer to all of this is to still have a great time over summer break at this weird camp and deal with all of the wacky, random, and often dangerous situations that our main group of campers here get into. Camp Lakebottom was surprisingly a bit of a low-key hit, running for a lot longer than I expected based on not really knowing much about it. So then what better way to get more familiar with it than by just checking it out? Today we are going to take a bit of a look into Camp Lakebottom, understand what it was all about, how it came to be, what happened to it in the end, and more. It's rare, especially for any series from the past decade and some change, to stick around longer than at most a couple seasons and or a very limited amount of episodes. So with how under the radar Camp Lakebottom feels, let's see how or why it was able to keep going, as well as my overall thoughts on the series. It's time to get packing because we're heading to camp. The initial setup to get the premise of the show is very simple, as it doesn't need to be more than that based on how the series presents itself from there on out. We start things off by meeting the character of McGee and his sister Susie as they are both waiting to board their bus to the summer camp that they are heading to for the summer, that being Camp Sunny Smiles. But plans, at least for McGee, are going to drastically change. The son of the owner of Camp Sunny Smiles, Jordan, no, not me, is the main antagonist of the series, who we see right away stop McGee from getting on the same bus, forcing him to go and take this older, falling apart, and kind of creepy bus that has two other kids on it as well that were supposed to be heading to Sunny Smiles too, that being Squirt and Gretchen. Two more so outcasted kids who have distinct personalities that would easily complete a trio friend group as their journey to Sunny Smiles turns into gusty grimaces, with Jordan making it so their bus never makes it to the right camp, and instead takes these three to none other than Camp Lakebottom.
Camp Lakebottom, we'll be right back. We're headed back to Camp Lakebottom.
Originally, Camp Lakebottom is a Canadian animated series created by Eric Jacobson and Betsy McGowan, as it would be produced and turned into a full-on series by 9 Story Media Group, with the series coming to Teletoon and beyond that, right away getting a licensing deal from Disney to have the series come to the US to be on Disney XD shortly after it would premiere on Teletoon. Beyond even that, the series would make its way to Disney's international channels all around the world, seeming like an amazing start to this new series. But maybe not everything continues to be so great when it comes to the broadcasting of the series on Disney XD in the US, but we will get back to that in just a little bit. To continue on from here and where we left off in discussing the premise of the show, all of what we've already mentioned is just what gets our main 3 characters to where the name of the show takes place. However, their initial moments at Camp Lakebottom are anything but fun, aside from maybe Squirt's time there. You know, he seems way more into whatever the heck is going on here. But as soon as they arrive, there is no easily leaving, as the bus is eaten by the giant octopus or kraken that lives in the lake, as then their first run-ins with the camp counselors feel more like a horror movie, as they all feel constantly chased by what seems like a zombie, a Sasquatch, and this little old woman. But what becomes more scary than all of this is seeing how things truly are at Sunny Smiles when they make their escape by paddling across the lake, only to be met with the snooty and bullying vibes of Jordan and their camp counselors over there, as our main 3 then learn and realize that Camp Lakebottom may not be so bad after all. It kind of nicely flips the script on your expectations, like sure, the rich and paradise-like camp that is Sunny Smiles was bound to be this facade for anyone that isn't rich or snooty, or who wants to live in that world like McGee's sister, but having Camp Lakebottom, for as creepy and decaying as it is, be the place where 3 kids that clearly don't fit in with the rest of the kids in the series end up finding out more about themselves and build true friendships with one another is pretty nice to see overall. You really do end up feeling bad for the camp, knowing that no one has ever showed up there, and that these 3 are the first set of campers that they've had, and losing them would break their hearts. I know the main counselor here, Sawyer, is a zombie, but I know they still have hearts. You know, I've seen warm bodies. I'm hip. He also does show that he has a heart, so there's that. After everything is understood between the campers and the counselors, the camp experience at Camp Lakebottom can officially begin, as we see all of the personalities of our main cast of characters start to shine more and more each episode. McGee is your typical main character for something like this, right? He isn't the smartest, but he overall has a kind heart. He's the type of person who gets himself and all of the others into trouble for the situations they get into, and he loves the thrill of doing more dangerous things, but mostly because of him overlooking the consequential side to whatever they're doing. Luckily, he has the traits of also trying to make sure that he and the others end up okay at the end of the day. But what I love is watching his optimism of being at the camp itself grow throughout the series, the more adventures he gets to get into with the others, whether they are more simple and contained or unbelievably over the top. Gretchen, at first, is this person who has this "I'd rather be anywhere else doing anything else" type of attitude, not really caring about going to the camp in the first place, especially so when they all arrive at the wrong camp. While she may come off more sarcastic or have retorts that would put you down or question your own smarts, she really is a more complex character that bottles away her true thoughts and feelings of what she does want to say or how she does want to present herself. You get these moments of when this mask slips, as well as getting to see her truly bond with her new friends that she gets closer to and have fun with during her time at Camp Lakebottom. Squirt is the quintessential third character, He is the one who is portrayed as the one with the least amount of smarts, but he sees the beauty and fun of Camp Lakebottom first before the others, really getting into what the camp has to offer and being into all of the monster-related stuff happening. Together, we get to see the three of them go from strangers who all met on a bus to a group of friends that become a solid close unit that have to take on all that happens on these adventures together. There's a main formula to the show that really reminds me of something similar to how Spy vs. Spy is, as it takes some tropes that we could see in media that revolves around multiple camps where it becomes a camp versus camp thing. Mainly, it's our main character of McGee going up against Jordan, but we also quickly see that Gretchen has her own past and somewhat of a rivalry with McGee's sister Susie, with constant meddling between the camps causing clashes and ridiculous shenanigans to happen. Plus, thanks to the nature of Camp Lakebottom being what it is, there are plenty of monsters, paranormal entities, and mysterious creatures that get involved, always throwing in some fun with these concepts as they pop up. The counselors themselves do serve a nice purpose here. Aside from just being counselors for the camp, they often provide the real heart of the series, as they aren't these scary monsters as they may initially come off when first meeting them, and overall, I think Sawyer might be my favorite character here. I love how much he cares about his job, the safety of the kids, and how he doesn't want to be seen or act like how a normal depiction of a zombie would be thought of. Armand, as a Sasquatch, tries to play into the reverse of what a Sasquatch would be thought of. He's not anywhere close to being a simpleton, as if anything, he shows to have a deeper love for the arts, and is a creative with a drive to express himself. He's more human than most humans may come off, having a kind side while having these aspirations for his future, and still having moments of him struggling and not being perfect, which again, makes him feel pretty human. As for Rosebud, she's low-key the most interesting character in the show maybe. It's not for how she usually comes off, being more strict in general and making lots of gross food, but for the fact of how she got here, how her past truly shaped her to then form this bond and almost found family-like relationship with the other counselors, as well as how she truly found this passion for cooking, despite it being as awful as it comes off. Unless you're Squirt, he loves it. But all in all, I really like all three of them and their dynamics to both one another and with being counselors to the kids. And again, how these people feel real and genuine and have kind hearts, whereas we see the actual humans on the other side of the lake and how they believe to be above everyone else or they're too good for other people. I feel like it was shown and done in a very heartfelt way. By the time you get to the end of the series, there is a full-on last episode that ends things off for it, giving everyone who did watch the series and enjoyed the characters a proper send-off that is overall pretty sweet. But aside from all of that, the big elephant in the room for a lot of you may just be what happened to the show when it comes to it being on Disney XD in the US. It's kind of a mess, but let's get into all of that.
Camp Lakebottom will be right back. And we're headed back to Camp Lakebottom.
Aside from if you enjoyed the series or not, or saw a whole bunch of the series or not, the show would end up running for a total of 65 episodes, or 130 11-minute segments, across 3 seasons, which is a solid run all its own, giving you plenty of stories within the world of the show that's built at these summer camp locations. But in saying all of this and knowing that Disney licensed the series from 9 Story, why did you most likely not see much of the show at all during its run from 2013 to 2017? Well, there is a bit of confusion of what happened after the initial initial first season, which at that point saw the series having episodes premiering on Disney XD out of order from how it was premiering in Canada on Teletoon. Which for a show like this is not a problem, they don't need to be seen in order, but there was a lot of weird release dates going on with the episodes, sometimes coming out way before the same episode would be shown on Teletoon, and at some times randomly coming out way after. For whatever reason, they do stuff like this, who knows why, but everything in general seemed fine enough. But it's when it comes to season 2 is where things get weird and just plain out confusing. In the summer of 2014, Disney would continue their licensing of the series with 9 Story, wanting the next 26 episodes, and all of that was great. This deal would continue outside of just being for Disney XD in the US, making sure that Disney's large number of international Disney channels would be broadcasting Camp Lakebottom to their respective territories. But with that sounding fine and normal, things get weird for Disney XD in the US, as it seems like the series never came back to the channel. There are so many bits of information that contradict each other about it airing in the US or not, but from anything that can prove what actually happened, it seems that it never did continue its run in the US aside from season 1 reruns up to a certain point before disappearing altogether, while the series would regularly continue on Teletoon in Canada and on the international Disney channels. We've seen stuff like this happen with licensed media, sure, but it always feels weird to purchase something and then not put it out there for where it was originally intended. I guess Disney just didn't see it as a great fit for Disney XD, the ratings maybe weren't where they wanted it to be, or maybe they realized that in these international markets the series had a bit more success and they decided to make the full-on licensing deal and just holding on to having the access to premiere the series on Disney XD in the US if they so choose to, but don't necessarily feel that they had to. The deals would continue one more time as season 3 of Camp Lakebottom would yet again be licensed to Disney, but more specifically to Disney Channel in Latin America for the shorter 13-episode season before coming to an end after that. So there really is no satisfying ending to the story of what happened or a way to feel like you can understand why the series seemingly disappeared for US audiences. But at the end of the day, Camp Lakebottom still lasted for quite some time with plenty of episodes that are out there for you to watch, with a lot of them being able to be viewed through 9 Story's Camp Lakebottom YouTube channel. I do love how every episode of the series starts off in the middle of some intense moment happening before quickly pausing on a freeze frame and turning into a postcard where we hear McGee writing to his mother about his camp experience, making it a way to introduce the title and main situation our characters will find themselves in later in the episode, and still having that summer camp vibe. The whole series is nicely packaged and presented with clear care in mind, all for the sake of a fun time. While I do find that the humor in the show can tend to be more juvenile thanks to the abundance of butt-related jokes, overall it doesn't feel too draining. And you know what? I don't feel too drained either. And why is that, you may ask? The answer's right here, but let me go open that up. Look, if you're familiar with my channel at all, you know that GamerSupps helps support the channel, and thanks to you guys supporting GamerSupps, that directly helps support the channel. So I just want to say a huge thank you to anyone who clicks the link down below and or just uses my code FRINGE, when they're checking out and getting themselves some GamerSupps. Unless there's extra special promotions going on with my code, it's a guaranteed 10% off every time you order. Like literally every time you make an order, 10% off if you use code FRINGE. This is one of the newer things that they recently started, and it's completely sold out right now, so I hope that they do bring more of it soon because I actually really enjoy them. Look, that's Moist Critical right there. So in the meantime, they still got good old faithful. So whether you're already familiar with GamerSupps or you want to learn more about them, definitely click the link down in my description and check it out. And again, thank you so much to everyone who does use code FRINGE when checking out and saving themselves 10%. It really does help support the channel, and I do appreciate all that the GamerSupps crew do to support the channel and all of you guys as well. But that's all I wanted to say real quick. Let's go ahead and head back to camp to finish this off. Stuff like the main antagonist Jordan's last name being Butt Squat is pretty funny with how McGee refers to him. So the series balances how that type of humor comes off fairly well at the end of the day. While Camp Lakebottom may not be this amazing series that I feel you'll be missing out on if you've never heard of it or never really gave it a chance, I do still think that there is a lot here to like, with lots of fun situations that our main characters get into within this camp setting that set it apart enough from other cartoons that take place in camp settings that also could have more fantastical or weird elements. So no worries, Camp Lakebottom and Camp Lazlo don't really feel at all alike, if you get what I'm saying. If you've never checked out the series or only saw a limited run of the series, then I'd still recommend giving it a shot. It's a fun time with a cool enough concept that I believe you'll find some good enjoyment with. But if you did watch the series, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know all of that and more in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on this video and to subscribe for more videos like this coming soon. But until then, later.